I thought I'd finally made it. After decades grinding as a corporate lawyer, I bought my dream home on Maple Lane in the upscale Crestwood Estates. A colonial with a wide porch, ancient elms, and a south-facing roof perfect for the solar panels I'd planned for years. I'm Samuel Hayes, 52, and this was my fresh start. But I didn't count on meeting Margaret Ellison, the iron-fisted president of the Crestwood Estates Homeowners Association, who'd turned my dream into a battlefield. Margaret lived across the street in a mansion that screamed old money, with a lawn so pristine it could have been mowed by a mathematician. She was 60, with frosted blonde hair frozen in time and a wardrobe of pastel blazers that screamed authority. On my second day, as I watered my hydrangeas, she marched over with a clipboard, her weapon of choice. "Welcome to Crestwood," she said, her smile as warm as a tax audit. "I'm Margaret, HOA president. You'll want to review our community standards." She handed me a packet thicker than my law school diploma, detailing rules on everything from fence heights to approved flower colors. The trouble started when she spotted solar panel brochures in my car. "I hope you're not planning anything too progressive," she said, her voice dripping with disdain for the word progressive. The way she said standards felt like a dog whistle, the kind of polite prejudice I'd faced my whole career as a black man in corporate America. I kept my cool, smiled, and said, "Just some energy-efficient upgrades. I'll follow the rules." Her eyes narrowed. "We're very thorough here, Mr. Hayes. Some approvals take months." I submitted my solar panel application that night, dotting every I and crossing every T. Architectural renderings, efficiency reports, installer certifications. I was ready. But 2 weeks later, a rejection letter arrived. Insufficient visual impact documentation. I resubmitted with 3D renderings. Rejected again. Concerns about future modifications. By the fourth rejection, I knew Margaret wasn't just picky, she was targeting me. I'd dealt with gatekeepers like her before. So I dug in, researching every solar installation in the county. 12 homes in similar neighborhoods had panels approved without a hitch. Margaret's own house, meanwhile, had an unapproved pergola 3 feet taller than allowed. At the next HOA meeting, I came armed. The room was a sea of folding chairs and bored residents. Margaret droned on about preserving property values, painting my panels as a neighborhood apocalypse. I stood, calm but firm, and dismantled her arguments with photos of sleek solar setups, property value studies, and her own pergola violation. The room stirred. Margaret's face turned the color of her blazer. She cornered me in the parking lot afterward, her fake charm gone. "This isn't your kind of neighborhood, Mr. Hayes," she hissed. I met her gaze. "I understand discrimination lawsuits are pricey, Margaret. Hope you've got a good lawyer." She froze, speechless, as I drove off. The harassment began the next morning. My trash cans were strewn across my lawn. I installed security cameras and pushed forward with the solar installation, banking on state laws that made HOA restrictions shaky. Margaret sent threatening letters and rallied her minions' neighbors like Evelyn Carter, a 70-something who claimed my panels would radiate her peonies to death. I explained panels don't emit radiation, but she clutched her sun hat and wailed, "My flowers have rights." Installation day was a circus. Margaret photographed my house like a paparazzo. A city inspector, tipped off by anonymous complaints, showed up but left after verifying my permits. By noon, Margaret stormed my lawn, screaming about ruining our respectable community. I warned her to leave or I'd call the police. "Go ahead," she dared. I dialed 911, reporting a trespasser. When officers arrived, she ranted about standards while my crew watched, amused. The cops escorted her off, warning her of arrest if she returned. 3 days later, I came home to a nightmare. Margaret was on my roof, painting my $12,000 solar panels neon pink. I grabbed my phone, recording as I shouted, "What are you doing?" She spun, nearly falling, paint splattering. "Protecting property values," she shrieked. "These eyesores ruin everything." Neighbors gathered, some shocked, others smirking. I called 911 again, describing a deranged woman vandalizing my property. Margaret kept painting, screaming about respectable communities until sirens wailed. She froze, realizing her mistake, and climbed down, paint-soaked and defeated. Officers cuffed her for criminal mischief and trespassing. As she glared from the patrol car, I knew this was war. The fallout was swift. I filed a felony complaint, backed by video evidence and $8,000 in damage estimates. Detective Laura Bennett, handling the case, was stunned. Solar panel vandalism? That's a first. I showed her my log of Margaret's harassment-rejected applications, trashed garbage, trespassing. This is a pattern, she said, possibly stalking. The neighborhood split. Half supported me, appalled by Margaret's actions. Half saw me as the outsider stirring trouble. Evelyn spread rumors that I'd provoked Margaret by forcing my panels. Then came the tires. All four slashed overnight. I called the police, who noted the escalation. This feels personal, Officer Patel said. Get more cameras. The harassment intensified. My mailbox was spray-painted with "Go home." Eggs hit my house at 2 a.m. A masked figure prowled my yard on camera, casing my home. I hired overnight security, but the stress was crushing. Was this home worth it? Then, everything changed. At 4 a.m., my fire alarm blared. Outside, a 2-foot cross burned in my yard, gasoline rags smoldering. My cameras caught 2 masked figures. Detective Bennett called in the FBI. Agent Emily Carter, a hate crime specialist, took over. This is domestic terrorism, she said. Cross-burning often precedes worse. The story hit national news. HOA president linked to cross-burning. Margaret's allies, like Evelyn, backpedaled. Evelyn brought cookies, sobbing, "I never wanted this." I replied, "You enabled it, Evelyn." Harassment breeds hate. The FBI arrested 2 men, Thomas Reed and James Porter, local white supremacists tied to Margaret via phone records. They'd used her intel on my cameras and schedule. Margaret denied involvement, claiming she only cared about standards. But texts showed her directing the men, proving conspiracy. My lawyer, Carla Torres, expanded our civil rights lawsuit against Margaret and the HOA, alleging systemic racism. We uncovered years of targeting non-white families like the Lopezes, harassed over holiday lights, or the Patels, cited for their vegetable garden. White families, meanwhile, built unapproved decks without issue. The lawsuit grew, including other victims, and demanded $2.3 million. Margaret's final stand was an HOA meeting, packed and tense. She railed against outside agitators, me, showing slides on property value threats. I stood, voice steady, and exposed her racism. Every non-white family here has been harassed. The Lopezes, Patels, and others face citations white families never got. The room shifted. Her allies squirmed. The meeting ended with her narrative crumbling. 6 months later, Margaret was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison for conspiracy to commit domestic terrorism. Judge Ellen Harper called her actions egregious, citing her use of the HOA as a weapon of discrimination. The HOA settled, paying $2.3 million and agreeing to federal oversight, diversity training, and transparent policies. Crestwood installed solar panels on its community center, a symbol of change. Today, Maple Lane is transformed. New families, Black, Hispanic, Asian move in, welcomed by a diversity committee. My panels, cleaned and humming, power my home and a mentorship program for young Black lawyers. I'm not just surviving, I'm home. This fight wasn't just mine. It exposed how racism hides behind standards and how communities enable it through silence. We won, but the scars remain. What do you think? Should violence and injustice like this be fought head-on? Or is compromise better? Share your stance in the comments. I want to hear your perspective on standing up to hate.